Hey guys, wrthcrw here. You may remember the punch boosting guide that I released not that long ago about the new tech I discovered where you can travel down hills faster. Well, to very little people's surprise, it's a lot more than just going down hills. So I wanted to make a follow-up guide in a very similar style to the super glide video that I made a while ago, covering all the different things that punch boosting can be used for. We'll start at a very basic level and show everybody how to go ahead and punch boost, and we'll show some examples on how you can use it. Just as a heads up, this guide is going to be focused heavily on MNK, but most of these things you can do on controller. You'll just have to replace the different inputs with yourself. If you guys like the video, be sure to subscribe. I'm releasing a at least hour-long movement guide at 10k subs, so if you guys want to see that, go ahead and subscribe, and don't miss any future videos from me so you can keep up to date with it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So what is punch boosting? Punch boosting is a burst of acceleration gained when you melee an object higher to you, and you hold S as you do so, like this. As long as the object you're punching is higher than your feet level in any capacity, you can punch boost. So even if I stand on this slope, as long as I punch up here, I can punch boost off like so. This even counts for small inclines, such as this rock here, and even these rocks over here as well. So how does this work? Well, back in Season 10, Respawn nerfed melee, so it doesn't lock on as much, but they also changed it to where you can't cancel fall stagger with the melee anymore. This also had the unintended side effect of, well, punch boosting. Now whenever you punch a surface higher than you, you gain an insane amount of acceleration depending on the object you're on. If you're on a slope, you can gain upwards of 400 velocity, but if you're on a flat surface, you can gain anywhere between 50 to 200. When I say you can punch boost off of anything that's a higher surface, I mean anything. For example, you can punch boost off of Lifeline's drone, Watson's fences, Gibraltar's bubble, Rampart's walls, Caustic's traps, Lobo's ultimate, Revenant's totem. Okay, you get the idea. The only thing you're limited by with punch boosting is your own imagination. You can punch boost off of nearly anything. Just use your imagination and the environment around you and think about what's higher than your own feet level. As covered in the last video, you can punch down hills to gain an insane amount of velocity and go down them much quicker than you could just jumping down. However, the key with this is that you don't want to jump. You want to hit the ground as many times as possible so you can then punch it and gain more and more velocity. I also want to say that timing your jumps is very important if you want to keep the highest velocity possible and therefore go down hills faster with it. If you just spam, you'll likely lose some velocity sliding along the ground. You want to stay in the air as much as possible. So time your jumps right before you hit the ground and bounce up in the air. You can also combine the super high velocity with things such as tap strafing to really throw off your enemies and make them unsure of where you are. You may remember from earlier when I said that you gain acceleration off of punch boosting depending on what surface you're standing on. This is also true for movement techs. For example, if you super glide and punch boost, you gain a massive burst of speed that makes you go even further than you normally would. And all you have to do is punch boost normally after a super glide. The same is true for wall bounces, slides, and everything you can think of. You can gain further distance after punch boosting to get a little bit extra acceleration. As you can see in these clips here, I compare normal super gliding and stim super gliding to punch boosting, and you can really see the difference here. This also applies to zip lines as well. If you exit a zip line through a crouch, you can punch boost the nearest wall to gain a big burst of speed exiting the zip line. This can catch enemies off guard most of the time. This acceleration can be gained almost anywhere on the map, so keep your eye out and try and stay open-minded as to where you can punch boost off these surfaces to gain this extra speed from. So when you punch boost, you punch against the wall and it sends you backwards quite a bit. However, this can also be used on jump pads to slightly redirect yourself similar to a tap strafe, and you can do this on console. It doesn't give you nearly enough force to pull off a 180, but it can give you a slight redirection and you still keep your double jump. All you have to do is melee the wall when you are somewhat close to it, and it pushes you in the direction of your melee. The direction you go after punching depends on what movement you're inputting. So if I hold A here, I will just continue going the same direction as if I didn't even punch. But if I hold D and go to the right, you'll see that I kind of just turn in a small circle. And if I hold S, I get redirected backwards like this. What this means is that you could tap strafe off a pad into a melee to redirect yourself, then tap strafe again for yet another redirect. Why you would need this many redirects, I don't know, but it does make you fly around quite a bit. So if there's any jump pads near any walls, be sure to melee the wall to save your redirect if you want to try and go somewhere. Like so. You may be asking, wrthcrw, didn't you just say at the beginning of this video that you can no longer cancel Fall Stagger with melee? And yes, that is true. You can no longer cancel Fall Stagger the same way you used to in earlier seasons of Apex, such as by just punching the wall. You still get staggered. With punch boosting, however, you can instead redirect the velocity from falling into a slide. In this clip here, you can see how I punch the wall into a crouch slide to keep all of the velocity and momentum. It's very similar to a Horizon passive. All you have to do to cancel this Fall Stagger is punch a wall or slope surface before you land and hold crouch and S. This will put your character into a slide downwards as you hit the ground and let you keep all the momentum instead of just falling and hitting the ground. I will warn you that the timing for this is very difficult, however it is very rewarding to know this, as you can basically get a Horizon passive everywhere you go that has a slope surface or a wall next to wherever you're falling. One of the most interesting things about punch boosting is that it always works in water, even if it's a flat surface. It works because your feet are considered to be on the ground, but when you punch, you actually punch the water, which is higher than your feet. Punch boosting in water is also faster than just slide jumping around the map as well. It is only slightly faster, but it is still an edge to remember when you're trying to traverse around the map or when you're trying to chase an enemy. Very similarly to how I said earlier that you can punch boost after doing certain movement to gain more acceleration, you can also do the same thing off of most ledges to gain a little bit more distance to cross some different gaps. For example, you can cross this gap in Streamer Building to Diner with a ledge boost. You can use this to cross gaps that you are just a little bit short on, as the punch boost gives you a little bit more distance to go. You can see in this clip here, you normally can't make it up this rock without having to climb it, but with punch boosting, you can just slide onto the rock and then slide down past it. To initiate a ledge boost, you're going to want to punch the wall that you're slide jumping over right before you actually get out of range of it. This timing is going to be very difficult, and I recommend you practice it quite a bit before trying to use it in a real game. The last thing we have to cover is actually not using this momentum from punch boosting to go backwards, but instead redirecting this through a jump. If you guys are familiar with tap strafing or mid-air redirects, you can actually do that with these punch boosts. So you can see I tap strafed onto this ledge here and slid down. You can also just use a mid-air redirect if you're on console or controller. There's so many ways to use this to your advantage, such as peeking from cover wildly onto some enemies that might not expect you. You can even use this to go around enemies that are pushing you, but it's up to your imagination. It's up to you to apply this creatively and, well, snap your enemies' ankles. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the comprehensive punch boosting guide. If there are any updates to punch boosting or we learn anything new about it, I'll be sure to make a video on it and link it in the description below. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the content. There'll be plenty of more movement guides and other tutorial videos in the future. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to join the Discord at discord.gg/wrthcrw, or you can come catch me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/wrthcrw. I'm always open to answer questions and help out with anything you guys might have questions with, even unrelated to movement, such as how do you get better and things like that. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and thank you so much for the love and support and for watching this whole video. Bye-bye.